welcome back to the most amazing corner of the internet. I'm Rebecca Felgate, your most amazing host, and today we're getting creepy and freaky as we talk about the top 10 times people woke up at their own funeral. Whoa, what a video title. Before we get into this video, I just want to shout out our sister channel Life's Biggest Questions, which I also host for. We cover loads of science questions like what if the earth was sucked into a black hole, and loads of history questions like what if Hitler had won World War II. If that sounds like your bag, then join us over there for some very big answers. But back to this video. Preparing to say goodbye to a loved one is sad and intense at the same time, but imagine as you were in the process of saying goodbye, your loved one wakes up. Frightening, but good, but scary. Join us as we talk about 10 people who seemingly did just that. Coming in at number 10, this 3-year-old child woke up at her own funeral in the Philippines. In 2014, a 3-year-old Filipino girl appeared to wake up at her own funeral. Video footage was shot on a camera phone of one of the guests attending the funeral service and was then posted on YouTube. The footage was watched over 15 million times. It is pretty sad though, as although it did seem like the toddler woke up, it was actually a rare muscle spasm and she was indeed dead all along. Sadly, a quack doctor at the funeral said that she was alive, so her parents took her home only to find out that she was still very much dead. Another sad story at number 9, this 2-year-old boy woke up at his own funeral in Brazil and asked for a drink. The boy had died the day before of pneumonia. Hours before he was to be buried, he sat up in his coffin and said, "Daddy, can I have some water?" He then lay back down lifeless and was declared dead a second time. His parents do not know what happened and what caused the sudden life relapse, but sadly it was fleeting. His funeral was delayed by an hour amid the confusion, but was eventually completed. This man woke up only to find his whole family were having his funeral without him. We have Gilberto Arroyo at number 8. Gilberto woke up one day to discover that his whole family thought he was dead. There had been a murder in the Brazilian town that he was living in, and sadly a car washer had been killed. 41-year-old Gilberto was indeed a car washer, but it seems the victim had been someone who closely resembled him. His brother even identified the body, claiming it was his sibling. The body was returned to his mother and the funeral was taking place as Gilberto walked in to tell his family he was actually alive. It seems that people were very shocked. While it was a happy day for his family, sadly there was still a dead body who belonged to somebody else's family out there. What is worse, waking up at your own funeral or waking up during your own autopsy? Ask Carlos Cameo, who did just that. This is coming in at number 7. In 2007, Carlos was declared dead after a highway accident in Caracas, Venezuela. However, he woke up while he was being cut into during his autopsy. What a rude awakening. He said, "I woke up because the pain was unbearable." As his wife arrived to identify his body, she found her husband waiting for her in the corridor. After Carlos recovered, he had his picture taken in the newspaper holding his autopsy request document. A similar story at number 6, this Polish man died from drinking too much vodka only to wake up in a morgue and then return to the pub. Nostravie! 25-year-old Kamil fell ill at a tavern in Kamienia Góra, Poland. He collapsed and an ambulance was called and he was pronounced dead. His friends kept drinking as they mourned his passing. Meanwhile, Kamil woke up in a chilly morgue fridge. He made noises until a guard came to rescue him, after which time he asked for a blanket. Rising up from the dead, he was checked over and released from hospital. He went home via the pub to surprise his friends. Some gossy drama here at number 5. This woman turned up to her own funeral after her husband's assassination attempt on her life failed. In 2015, Balenga Kalala tried to have his wife Noella murdered. This was while she attended her stepmother's funeral in Burundi. Noella was abducted, but her captors had a change of heart when they realized it was her husband who wanted her dead and how upset she was about it. Noella returned to Australia where her and her husband lived and turned up to her own funeral to accuse him of her murder. He was later arrested and sent to jail, which is totally fair. Noella said that she was standing up like a strong woman. Honey, come at them. A ye oldie but a ye happy story at number 4. In Braffing, Hertfordshire, England, residents celebrate 2 things. 1, their famous pork sausages, and 2, Old Man's Day, the day a local farmer rose from the dead at his own funeral. On the 2nd of October 1571, Matthew Wall was lying supposedly dead in his coffin coffin as he was being carried into church for his funeral. One of the pallbearers slipped on a wet leaf and dropped the coffin, waking Matthew. He then banged on his coffin and was like, "Excuse me, let me out." It seems that he had fallen into a coma after an epileptic fit, but he had woken up feeling fine. He then lived over 2 more decades and married the year following his near-death experience. This is a terrifying story at number 3. This Russian woman woke up at her own funeral and then died from the shock. Excuse me while I pronounce this. 49-year-old Fagilu Mukhamyetsanov was declared dead in 2011. As her funeral was taking place, she started screaming in her coffin, realizing she was about to be buried alive. The shock was too much for the woman, who then had a heart attack and died. Her husband was distraught, saying doctors could and should have been more careful and that they could have saved her, which, yeah, fair. This teenager woke up on the way to his own funeral at number 2. 17-year-old Kumar Merwed was bitten by a stray dog and ran a high fever. Doctors at the Indian hospital he was admitted to told his parents that he was going to die if he was taken off life support. The teenager's family told the doctors to take him off the life support and then took his body home as he was presumed dead. Fortunately for Kumar, as he was in the car on his way to his own funeral, he opened his eyes and wiggled his arms and legs. He was taken to a nearby hospital and put on a ventilator. It turns out he got a nasty infection from the dog bite and needed further treatment, but he was very much not dead. Finally, at number 1, I am all about this story. This 95-year-old grandma woke up in her coffin, climbed out, and started making lunch. Fair, I feel like that's what I would do if I woke up in a coffin. Be like, you know what, I'm done with this, I'm hungry, make me a grilled cheese. Grandmother Li Shufen suffered a head injury at her home in Guangxi province. She was considered dead and placed in a coffin, which was kept unsealed as to allow for visitors to pay their last respects. The day before her funeral, as family members were congregating to view her corpse, they found her casket empty. They then looked everywhere for the OAP's body, but then they found her cooking lunch in her kitchen. She told her family, "I slept for a long time. After waking up, I felt so hungry and wanted to cook something to eat." Once again, fair. Doctors say that she suffered an artificial death. Lee may have woken up before she was buried, but her possessions had already been burnt, as is customary in China ahead of funerals. So guys, what a romp! A really dark romp with several sad endings. Intense. Guys, let me know, what is your biggest fear? Is it waking up at your own funeral? Let me know in the comment section down below. For now, I hope you like this list. Even though it was a bit morbid, it was pretty interesting. I'm Rebecca Felgate, your most amazing host. If you like this video, make sure you give it a good thumbs up, share it with a friend, and stay subscribed for more most amazing videos.